You know what? I thought I was talking to y'all and the video wasn't even turned on. Um, Hello, love tubers. I'm back. Yeah, my phone was on 2%. I plugged it in, but it showed didn't save it from dying. I've got it on the charger now. Getting its whole life together. I try to start off with a full battery each morning, but somewhere during the day, with me utilizing all the equipment, it dies. Anyway, I believe I was at 7 when it cut off. I'm just going to start at the beginning of 7 for us and keep it moving. All right. Thanks for hanging with me. 7, pimp the game. Business is quite simple. It's other people's money. Alexandre Dumas. It takes real charisma to be able to start getting millions instead of thousands. Ice T. The life. During my years in prison, I did a lot of reading, and one of my favorite books was Only in America, The Life and Crimes of Don King. I read that Don King used his pimpish ways to become one of the biggest players in the boxing world. Here was a man, a black man no less, who had been in the joint for killing a man. He was able to come out and not only make a living, but get a whole bunch of people to buy into an image that he created. He made himself into a king, not just in name, but all the way to that crazy hair he styled as a resemble of a crown, to resemble a crown. He put together the Rumble in the Jungle, the legendary fight between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, which to this day might be in the top 5 of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. King went to Muhammad Ali and told him he had millions of dollars for him to fight George Foreman. Ali wanted his title back anyway, so he signed. He went to Foreman and told him he had millions for him to fight Ali. Foreman believed him and he signed too. King had crap. Nothing. But now he had a contract with both Foreman and Ali agreeing to fight one another. He then went to a promoter with the deal and got the backing he said he already had. He then asked where could he have his fight and get the most attention. Game plan is on point, honey. He decided on Africa and even got the king of Zaire to give him $10 million. King promised to bring in the celebrities, throw parties, and put an international light on the small country. Then King continued to do what he did best, sold the game. He came up with a catchy name, Rumble in the Jungle. And the rest is history. Don King pimped the game to the fullest and went on to become the greatest promoter in boxing history. King inspired me to switch my hustle and build my name so I could make money away from the streets. You know, a pimp doesn't have a pension, so I had to make my move and utilize all the tools that I had at my disposal. The year was 1995. I was in Chicago getting my clothes custom made at Mr. K's on 89th Street when a player tried to sell me a VIP ticket to the Players Ball for $500. $500? Who's going to be at that MF? Michael Jordan, I asked. The Negro started rattling off names: Bishop Don Juan, Rev C, Poor Ice-T, and all of the pimps and hoes. I told him that I'd be there. I saw an opportunity. I would go there and convince all of those people to come to Milwaukee to my Players Ball. Now, I didn't have a Players Ball at this point. It was just an idea. But they didn't know that. I went to the Chicago Ball, and like Don King, I convinced all those pimps and players that they had to come to my ball in Milwaukee. After I secured those commitments, I went to my jewelry and played his sucker butt out of some thousands to sponsor my ball. I went to a few more people and got a few thousand more in sponsorship. Once I got the money, I used it to promote Pimpin. I bought 50,000 flyers, 10,000 posters. I got on all of the radio stations in Milwaukee for 30 days straight. 2 weeks later, the city was hyped and everyone knew my name. This gave me a lot of power in town, and I didn't have to spend a single dime of my own money. I had my man in Chicago make 100 videotapes of the Players Ball in Chi-Town because it showed how clean I was. And it showed me hobnobbing with all the players, talking a lot of fast money and a lot of slick and we gave those tapes out to rappers and other high-ranking pimps and players. My next move after the word got out was to sell my VIP tickets. I had to trump those Negroes in Chicago. My VIP tickets sold for $2,500 a pop. The price told everyone that my show was going to be bigger and better. I used the money from the sale of those tickets to make sure my event was bigger and better. I rented out a big ballroom using top of the line items for everything. I rented limousines, ordered lots of champagne, and had the whole thing catered. I even invented HBO to film the event. When you watch Pimps Up, Hoes Down, you are watching my Players Ball, the one that helped me build the name Pimpin. I used HBO's influence to get under Too Short and Ice-T, both of whom I respect because of the special. I was able to get them to do my movie Pimpology Uncut. The other rappers wanted to F with me because they saw their favorite rappers effing with me. Everybody loves a winner. At the end of Pimpology Uncut, I put my number at the bottom of the screen that sent a message out to all rappers. If they needed someone to spit intros and outros, I was their man. The first big timer to step up was Jermaine Dupri, the multi-platinum producer. This gave me millions of dollars to free publicity. Everyone worked with me after that. They put me on their songs and their videos into the world. I became the king of the pimps. The isms. Like Don King, use other people's money, experience, and knowledge to advance your cause. I owe my newfound fame and success to the power of the rap game. You can't turn on the television without seeing how much hip-hop has influenced culture. White suburban America spends more money on the music and clothes than black kids do. And many people in Germany and Japan know the lyrics of just about every rap song. Even TV commercials are hip-hop. From the fashion industry to technology, I flipped from pimping on hoes to pimping on hip-hop, which in turn has pimped on America and the entire world. California. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I don't know if y'all can see them pictures or not. Yeah, okay, that worked. Okay. She's gorgeous. Law 8. Don't let your history be a mystery. It was my destiny to live a pimp legacy. Too short, where they at? The life. Just like any other field, pimping has a history. When I was young, this OG Jim Dandy used to tell me all about the older pimps from back in the day. He talked about pimps that were 25 hoes deep with 3 or 4 Cadillacs. He would go on and on about them. I let him reminisce and finally asked, so where are they now? It is a mystery to me, he said. The only one who remembered anything about these so-called great pimps was Jim Dandy. They hadn't left behind a legacy. They hadn't done anything to keep their names alive. From the point on, I made sure that everything I did would be history-making event. Once I got my pimping right, I threw an annual birthday party. I went out and got the biggest names in the game to celebrate with me. All the top flight players, even the ones who really didn't know me, showed up because word got around that my party was the party of the year. If you were somebody, you had to be there. Soon Negroes were telling people I'm kicking it with my boy Pimpin Ken. They didn't even know me. Everybody was talking about my party. I threw this party 12 years straight. Each year it was bigger and better than the year prior. There are people who were at the first party 12 years ago who are still talking about it. When I did pimps up, hoes down, I made sure I stood out and my shine was on. I gave a performance for the ages. I remember talking to my father afterward and he said, "Man, what the F are you doing?" He told me people would now be watching my every move. Why did I make myself a target? Unless you have been living under a rock, you can see my every move has been to keep my name out there, I explained to him. And because of that, I will go down in history as the greatest pimp to ever live. The ism. Of all the things in the world, history is the only one that can record a man's life. What is the point of living if no one remembers that you were here? When you do something, do the damn thing. Do it big or don't do it at all. When you check out, make sure that you remember your name. Make sure you have done enough, good or bad, to keep them talking. 9. Law 9. Learn the rules. Business is the art of extracting money from another man's pocket without resorting to violence. Max Amsterdam. Now, Miss Pretty Tony, you know the rules of this game. Your female just chose me. Goldie, the Mac. And I don't mean no harm, but that one earring one way and then I be moving my head. I'm just going. There you go. Okay. When I was a kid, the movie The Mac hit theaters. It was so big that everyone was skipping school just to check out this flash. Not that I needed an excuse to skip school back then. It starred my man, Max Julian, who was my idol. The Mac was shot in Oakland, California, and it represented real pimping. It changed the whole game. This was the first time the words rules and pimping were mentioned together on a national level. After the pimp started talking about the rules all the time, the funny thing about this game, though, no one wants to teach you, man. Veteran pimps don't want the young pimps to know anything because that will threaten their pimping. So you have to find out the rules by hook or by crook. I would try to siphon some rules off of the OGs. I hooked up with this one pimp who was a junkie, but he had plenty of respect and game. His name was Ray. And I would catch him when he was high and not really paying attention to what I was up to. I used to catch him off guard a lot and got some real pimping from the dude. Say, Ray, I know how to send that female to work, but I know there are some unwritten rules. What are they? I asked him, why don't you hit me to what's happening? Man, you can't take another man's female without calling him first, he told me in a raspy, dope voice. That's called serving him. You can't fight over a hoe. Don't hang out with busters, that's Miss Pimpin. He was just rattling off the rules like he had memorized them for a test and I was taking mental notes. If a pimp is holeless and he's a good pimp, give him a jug, he said. Hook him up. Don't let your female hang out with another pimp's hoe unless you're putting your hoe on that female to take her from the pimp. When you're in the presence of other pimps and hoes, make your hoes hold their heads down so they won't be out of pocket. I stopped him. Ray, man, write that down for me. I said, I love that. He said, man, you can write this. Suppose you lose it and one of them squares finds it. You're right, I said. Please continue, but it was too late. I had sobered his with all my dumbness. The game is to be sold, not told, he said. Stay in it long enough and you will get from A to Z. Right now, you just got the ABC. When I started in the game, I was fortunate enough to have a few mentors like my man JD, who gave Dirty Red to me, take me under their wings and teach me the rules of engagement. How to knock a hoe, how to instruct a hoe, how to build a stable, and so on. But Dirty Red let me in on some trade secrets that I took and ran with it. That sounds like a whole business right there. Yeah. Who better to teach how to pimp a hoe than a veteran hoe herself? She really taught me that this game is won between the ears, not between the legs. It's not about effing, it's about effing with the mind. She taught me more than any pimp would. Dirty Red didn't really think about what she was doing when she schooled me in the game. I was only 16 and didn't look like any serious threat. She felt a certain amount of power, me being green and all, and took pleasure and pride in seeing me come up. It reflected well on her, but she created a monster. The ism. You hear me say that this is the NPA, not the NBA. This is the National Pimpin Association, a non-contact sport. The NBA bills itself as non-contact, but there is more pushing and shoving, fighting, and carrying on than a little bit. In the NPA, if you come with all of that, you're out. The worst pimp is a pimp who doesn't know pimping. Pimping is a psychological warfare. It's not physical combat. Pimping is a straight mind game. Every game has rules, and you'd be crazy to think you can come into it without knowing them. The best players are the ones who not only learn the rules but master and manipulate them and then come up with a few rules of their own. You have to have the ability to move and shake like a chess player. You might make a move today, but what you're really doing is setting yourself up 10 moves ahead. Mr. Mac.